The latest version of the Interledger protocol, and this is really important, can integrate with any type of ledger, including those not built for interoperability, like Bitcoin. Using the Interledger protocol, Bitcoin can now trade with anything without an exchange. Now it's possible someone can build an application on the Bitcoin network and trade using any currency or digital asset with another private blockchain or public blockchain. The secret sauce is neutrality. Remember, Interledger, you don't have to use XRP. You can trade any digital asset as long as it's programmed into the Interledger protocol. But it just so happens XRP is insanely efficient. Why would you not want to choose the technology that saves you the most time and money? The Interledger protocol is not tied to any company, currency, or network. What connects everything? Nothing is as interoperable as it. So interoperable that it makes things that are not interoperable interoperable. It also supports bilateral directional payment channels, meaning it can go both ways. An issue that the Bank of International Settlements multi-CBDC chain has is that they can only send unidirectional encrypted messages. Same with Swift GPI. They can only send unidirectional messages, which is what Brad Garlinghouse touched on. It doesn't solve the problem. They need an intermediary Interledger protocol with bidirectional payment channels to trade between private blockchains. That is what's going to solve the problem and save the day and get us out of this liquidity crisis. We're highly leveraged in an e-liquid market, and we also have an e-liquid banking system. This is something interesting I just wanted to show you guys. These companies right here are very high in my books because they offer Interledger protocol enabled wallets. That is massive. Uphold and GateHub are both interoperable with the entire system now. Uphold is currently on Link 2 and you can invest in it. Man, the companies on Link 2, pre-IPO Ripple, pre-IPO Polysign, and pre-IPO Uphold. Now that is a serious opportunity. Now, let's not try to overcomplicate things, but I need to explain to you what a hash time locked contract is before we move on, because it connects with everything else in the video. It's really not that complicated at a high level. Basically, a transaction sent and the receiver needs to calculate a hash problem within their computer within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, the contract is sent back to the sender. It's that simple. Let's not try to overcomplicate things. I just wanted to show you further that the Interledger truly does connect all networks. Many organizations, which we will touch on later in this video, use something called a hash time lock contracts and escrow on the Interledger protocol to complete their transactions. On the Ethereum network, their payment channel is collateralized with a unidirectional or one-way payment channel. And then the trust lines and issuing bi-directional payment channel on the XRP ledger. I'm not hating on Ethereum. Ethereum has its uses and is deep within the ISO 20022 ecosystem. But I'm just showing you that its use case is not to connect all the networks together. And that is where the true opportunity lies, is in whoever connects the networks of networks will receive the most value. Now, previously stated in this document from Ripple, they mentioned the UK faster payment system. This is how we know it uses the Interledger protocol. Basically, its private blockchain is running every day of the year, and its creation in 2008, probably not a coincidence with the financial crisis. Basically, they have their own private blockchain that's automated and runs continuously, and non-banks and banks can open accounts with them, and they can connect safely and securely either directly or indirectly to the faster payment system central infrastructure. This is how we know they're using the Interledger protocol to trade with networks outside of their own network. From Investopedia, Interledger is utilized by Ripple Labs to connect bank systems across borders, where the Ripple XRP token functions as a standardized settlement layer between global banks. Yes, it can be used as a standardized settlement layer, but anyone can go onto the Interledger protocol and make their own token, which is what we want. However, it is likely that the token that's already the most efficient in the entire game will end up having a very high market share of the Internet of Value. There will be other tokens that will compete, and that is a good thing. Remove intermediaries and create secure, decentralized, cross-border interbank payment networks. Interledger is not tied to a single company, blockchain, or currency, although it is featured prominently with the Ripple cryptocurrency. Well, Ripple the company, not the cryptocurrency, but that's because they're smart and they've integrated all of their products with the Interledger protocol, which anyone is allowed to do, right? We've talked about all this. Escrow. Ripple has built their products with the Interledger protocol, and so there's a vehicle to be used. The software already exists to facilitate transfers with XRP, so why not use it? From the XRP Ledger website itself. Basically, if your app can send and receive Interledger payments, you get free access to more and more payment systems and currencies as the Interledger grows, right? Easy to get started. Both incredibly complicated and impressively simple at the same time. Hats off to David Schwartz and Evan Schwartz. No, I checked, they're not brothers, but they're both geniuses. Evan created the Interledger protocol, and David created automated market making. Together, the system is going to work beautifully. Oh, here's something. Existing decentralized apps mostly run on a blockchain like Ethereum, and every node in the peer-to-peer network must be able to run all smart contracts. Odious is an app built on the Interledger protocol. You can wrap your dApps and use Interledger to pay for hosting. Basically, your app can live on another private blockchain, but it can still pay and use the services of the Ethereum node hosting. It's like the entire blockchain internet coming together and working together. You can take the best of each project and use their services in your project with no friction whatsoever. An old saying goes, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, because advertisements and data collection can derive great profits without charging the parent customer anything. Of course, these aren't truly free because ads are manipulative. Data collection sacrifices privacy, and the two combined can be even more manipulative. Blockchains like the XRP ledger are the start of something different, but Interledger takes it a step further by providing a level of privacy that blockchains inherently can't. And this is where the true value is, guys. Privacy is so big and nobody's talking about it. I guarantee you, the next utility crypto bull run will be centered around privacy and Interledger connecting networks. As a general rule, all data in a blockchain is public. For all members of a blockchain to reach agreement, they need to know the state of the data to verify its integrity and to progress to the next state. Pseudonyms and mixing of inputs can obscure some of the information, but they can't change the fundamental limitations of blockchain technology. Here we go. Interledger is different. Since it's not one single system, there's no need for consensus between distinct participants. Transactions between two directly connected users can stay limited to just those users. With longer chain payments, most details are encrypted with a key only the sender and receiver know. No one sees all Interledger traffic, right? So the ability to pay for things without actually knowing what's in each other's private blockchain in a trustless way, in a fair way, in a secure way, in a private way, in a scalable way. This is the value of Interledger. Now here's an article from Evan Schwartz himself, the genius, one of the Schwartz geniuses. This is what we're just talking about. How could a decentralized app buy resources like storage and computing without being tied to a specific blockchain? Across the internet, apps and services face a similar issue of how to directly monetize without relying on a single cryptocurrency. A proprietary network like Visa or PayPal, or a monolithic platform like Apple. Interledger was designed to answer the question, what would a universal network for sending value independent of any company or currency look like? Interledger is now live, and the core protocol was finalized in 2017. Now here comes some serious value. Imagine connecting all these networks. With Interledger, a user can send BTC and the recipient will automatically receive ETH, or whatever the preferred currency happens to be. The assets are exchanged in the flow of the transfer without either party needing to think about how this happens. When the user sends BTC, the user's wallet sends Interledger packets denominated in BTC to a connector. The connector applies their exchange rate and forwards ETH denominated packets to the receiver, all without knowing. See, these are two public blockchains. You can actually look inside the Bitcoin blockchain, you can look inside the Interledger protocol, and you can look inside the ETH protocol and see what actual transaction took place. But if this was Quorum, if this is JP Morgan's Quorum blockchain, which is private, the BTC, the Interledger protocol, would take the sender's BTC, hold it in escrow, and then send it and give it to the organization or application inside of the Quorum blockchain without actually being able to tell the rest of the transactions that the Quorum blockchain is making with their JPM coin. For more obscure assets, Interledger packets are automatically routed across multiple connectors, and each one is incentivized to help find the best paths through the network. Importantly, all of this happens without the sender needing to trust the connectors, as the protocol guarantees that the sender's money cannot be lost or stolen in transit. Oof. Man, when I was reading this last night, my mind was just being blown left, right, and center. Interledger is a peer protocol, and simplicity was one of the primary design principles. The simpler the protocol, the more networks it can create. An open network of networks is more resilient, scalable, and feature-rich than any independent network on its own. That is the beauty, and that is the true value behind everything, behind this whole Interledger protocol. You can have applications all over the blockchain on different networks, providing services to each other in a trustless, scalable, secure, and private way, or not private if it involves public blockchains. Now, I really want to show you guys how the Interledger protocol is being used in the real world. And yes, it's being used. And a lot of people are confused as to why XRP's price isn't increasing while the Interledger protocol, among many of the services, are adopting at such an accelerated rate. But let me explain something to you guys. XRP's price and the utility, well, everything's price and their utility are completely not correlated at the moment. Now, in 2020, we were around 20 cents, under 20 cents. And now we're about double that. So I would say with how much progress that the company has gone through and the utilization of the token, that's about fair. All the prices up here were too high to begin with, and every single chart looks exactly the same. Ethereum, Bitcoin, the S&P 500, right? Amazon, Meta. None of this was utility, guys. None of this was utility. Zoom, that is crazy. This is complete. This is what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, that the price increase and decrease was basically a Ponzi scheme. With low interest rates, the wealthiest organizations in the world can accumulate as much money as they need in the form of massive loans. They don't have to pay back their loans, and they get to invest in all of these assets. Retail, people like you and me, do not move the price at all. That is a myth. The only people that move the price are these large organizations that have the connections to produce these massive loans. And so they leverage and the price gets super high because they're able to just pump money into it. And then now the interest rates are going up, they need to pay the money back, and there's a liquidity crisis, and everyone has to sell all their assets. That's why FTX collapsed. That's why Luna was a scam, and so on and so on. So it all comes full circle. Now, I said in a previous episode that business takes time. It's just the way it is. The XRP token price has doubled in the last 2 years. That is pretty good. I'm sorry if you got in high, but that's probably realistic. And as it stands, yes, it is being used, but it's taking time to ramp up. The world of business is very slow. But I'm just going to show you here that it actually is being used, and it will continue to be used at an exponential rate. The amount of liquidity that will end up on this network being transferred through the Interledger protocol, which for the most part will use XRP as a trading pair, because the automated market maker will see that XRP can give the customer the best price and time on the trade, will be absolutely insanely massive, bigger than anything we've ever seen in today's world. Now, Project Jasper Ubin, powered by Accenture and JP Morgan. See, JP Morgan, they have their fingers in XRP. Do not be fooled. Now, this project for wholesale central bank digital currencies issued on blockchains by the central bank, right? They need a third party acting as escrow, Interledger protocol. One way of accomplishing the trade is with a third party acting as an escrow, like the traditional method, the SWIFT system, or the Bank of International Settlements acts as a third-party escrow. But there's another way, a much more efficient way, and that is to provide a technology-based means of ensuring this commitment without a trusted third party. That's key, without a trusted third party. The Monetary Authority of Singapore and the Bank of Canada, with JP Morgan and Accenture, created Project Jasper Ubin. And guess what? They use Corda, which we've talked about in previous videos. And actually, the next episode is centered around Corda and R3. So stay tuned. This is a good way to wrap up this episode. And Quorum, which is a private blockchain that JP Morgan created using the Ethereum virtual machine, but it doesn't use Ethereum token. It uses the JPM token. Quorum in Singapore and Corda in Canada. Corda will be used everywhere though. Here we go. For cross-border interledger payment transactions, we consider various architecture options, right? Here's that word, hash time lock contract. Basically, Corda could not feature hash time lock contracts. So they built something called the RESTful API, and here we have it, Corda within the Interledger protocol, sending money between Singapore and Canada. That's just one example. This is within Project Jasper Ubin. We're seeing some connections with the other article we read. Interoperability compared with the notary schemes. An example of this is BTC relay between Bitcoin and Ethereum. They even cite the Bitcoin's Lightning Network, although in a later episode I'm going to show you another network called the Bolt Network that is like the Lightning Network except for adds a privacy layer with zero knowledge proofs. Privacy is the future of blockchain. Here's Project Jasper in Canada. Hyperfast 365-day instant payments, domestic, interbank, but then also Project Ubin that use Corda in Singapore, and then Project Jasper Ubin is them trading between each other. And finally, just to confirm, and we're going to look into this in the next episode. But yes, R3's Corda settler uses XRP as the first settlement mechanism. There's other settling mechanisms on Corda, but why wouldn't you use the fastest, the cheapest, the most reliable, the most scalable, the most secure, adds privacy using the Interledger protocol? What's Corda all about? This is how you know Corda uses the Interledger protocol. Interoperability, Interledger protocol. Oh, it says it right there. But yeah, interoperability, shared ledgers, and tokenization. Interoperability. At the heart of this information that will directly influence the output of the consensus process on your ledger, but which arises extrinsic to that very same consensus process. Wow, that's confusing. All to say, you're able to trade between private blockchains without changing the internal consensus of each private blockchain. They're able to work together despite being different. We're talking about signatures from authenticized, trusted third parties that a payment that occurred elsewhere did indeed take place, or evidence from another blockchain platform that some transaction has been confirmed. Interoperability protocol to rule all interoperability protocols. Promises that I know that what I see is what you see across all platforms, as well as within a single platform. We have to solve this problem, and that problem will indeed be solved by the Interledger protocol. Next episode, we're going to talk about R3 and Corda, and after that, we'll make our way around the entire diagram, and you'll truly understand the Interledger protocol family and the ISO 20022 ecosystem, and therefore, you will understand what the greatest opportunity in human history is. There are very few of us that will catch this wave of the wealth being transferred into the new financial system. If we invest in the technologies that the system is founded on, then with that risk, we will reap the rewards of the 86,400% increase in efficiency. Remember, it takes time, but guys, we are so close. So please be patient and become a legend. Thank you.